evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jenna coming to you live from English Fest News. Today we'll be talking about The Fault in Our Stars. And now to our reporter Nicole talking about her cancer theme in the book. Here's to you, Nicole.
So today I'm going to talk about how it affected each of the characters. First of all, there is Hazel Grace. Hazel looked at the world differently because of her cancer. She looked at herself and all cancer kids as just side effects of the relentless mutation that made the diversity of life on Earth possible. So, first of all, her suffering, she didn't have too much hope for herself. She just kind of accepted and tried to get by day. Another aspect of Hazel's suffering, and it kind of had to do with her view of herself, is the fact that she saw herself as a grenade because of her cancer that only hurts everyone. So she didn't want to open up to people because she already felt bad about her parents who were suffering, who felt so sad because their daughter was going through this. So she didn't open up to anyone until Gus. And that brings me to the second character, Augustus Waters. And he had his leg cancer, and he suffered from that, like the physical suffering too, but he also had the problem of not being able to be worldly, a big influence on the world, which is something he really wanted to do, and he couldn't because he didn't have a lot of time to live left. So he physically couldn't do that. But he did learn a lesson from Hazel from that when he was talking about how he wanted to be loved widely, and she said, like, you're not, but you have me, and she loved him deeply. So he had something that he probably wouldn't have had as deep if he would have been healthy and doing all kinds of things for all kinds of people and being the hero he originally wanted to be. But that brings a point to Gus's character, that he was suffering, but he didn't let his suffering change his personality. He still was happy most of the time, and he was able to joke off his cancer with Isaac, and they were really funny, so they still stayed fun and crazy. Last characters that were affected by cancer in this book were the parents of cancer kids, and I'm going to talk about two situations in this. First is Hazel Grace's parents, and they were just so sad about their daughter having cancer, and that's basically the end of their suffering, but they handled it well and kept going on with life, which made Hazel, she was so grateful for that. And the second parent I'm going to talk about is Peter Van Houten, and he handled it completely wrong, and the death of his daughter, and he became a recluse and a drunk and basically just hid from life. So, and he had a little bit of hope with Hazel and Augustus, but in the end he was sad. So that brings the question, did the suffering have a point at all? And it did, because it gave them the relationships they had, because they wouldn't have bonded without it. So, back to you, Jenna.
Thank you for that, Nicole. Now here's Michelle talking about the topic of the most ironic event in the book, The Fault in Our Stars. Take it away, Michelle.
Hello, and thank you, Jenna. I believe that the most ironic event that occurs in this book is whenever Hazel and Augustus travel to Amsterdam. They go and visit their favorite author who wrote their favorite book, but that doesn't go so well for them. I think the most ironic part of their visit was when they visit the Anne Frank house. Anne Frank, as most of you all know, wrote a diary about her life during the times of German invasion and during the Holocaust. I believe that this relates over to the situation that Hazel and Augustus are both in, because both Hazel and Augustus have to deal with cancer in their lives, while Anne Frank had to deal with the Germans. She was always scared of the Germans, just as Hazel and Augustus are scared of the cancer. Even though Hazel has pretty much beaten her cancer, Augustus has just found out in Amsterdam that he, in fact, will be dying from cancer. Both of these situations prove that even though you may face hard times, you must persevere, and things will get better.
That is very interesting, Michelle. That concludes our nightly news for tonight for your English Fest. I'm Jenna, signing off.